sun is shining. The human breath holding record is 19 minutes and 30 seconds. That's longer than a dolphin. And this is Subcam. It's sing-along time. This will be The Last Unicorn, and some of you sing this for our music program. And if any of you are ambitious and want to try to play along, I will put the chords up somewhere here as we go along. These bugs are giving me fits. All right. When the last eagle flies over the last crumbling mountain, and the last lion roars at the last dusty fountain, in the shadow of the forest, though she may be old and worn. No, I messed it up. Wait, it's they will stare unbelieving at the last unicorn. Nailed it! When the first breath of winter through the flowers is icing, and you look to the north and a pale moon is rising. Side note, if you look to the north and the moon is rising, something is wrong. And it seems like all is dying and would leave the world to mourn. Nailed it. Oh, I messed myself up now. Let me see. Okay. And it seems like all is dying and would leave the world to mourn. In the distance, hear the laughter of the last unicorn. I'm alive. I'm alive. If you haven't read The Last Unicorn book, you really should. You might be thinking, it's a unicorn book. That sounds like a girl book. It's just an awesome book. It's this adventure story. It has a unicorn, right? And it has this wizard Schmendrick and Molly Grue and the Red Bull and King Haggard. Great locations and characters. You do yourself a favor, you should check it out. When the last moon is cast over the last star of morning, and the future is past without even a last desperate warning, look into the sky where through the clouds a path is torn. Look and see her, how she sparkles. It's the last unicorn. I'm alive. I'm alive. There it was. Yeah! It's time for the best of the internet. This time we're going to look at a YouTube channel called Some Good News, featuring John Krasinski. He was the actor from The Office that played Jim. He was also on A Quiet Place, and he was that action hero guy in that one movie with that name. And he does YouTube videos of just happy, positive, uplifting things during, this kind of quarantining, pandemic-y time when everybody's kind of stuck inside and not getting to go places. So it's a very uplifting, very clean, family safe, and just really a nice thing to watch. So there it is, best of the internet. Alright kids, this is Mr. Sexton's free garden area. Free in that the only things that I'm paying for are seeds. And everything else I've repurposed or recycled or salvaged from somewhere else. So, now I have my nice little path from some wood chips. I got the wood chips from Mrs. Tedford's husband. Now, Mrs. Tedford doesn't work here this year, but some of you will remember Mrs. Tedford. Some of you will have had her. And her husband had a tree service, and he would give me the wood chips when they would work on trees. And these paver stones I got from a friend of mine in his yard. And you might think, hey, Mr. Sexton, why do you have these rocks along the path?
other than just they look cool. Well, when I bring my hose through here to water everything, the hose will catch on the rocks and it won't drag across all the garden plants as I move through here. So it's a strategy. Now those paver stones are to let me walk through the garden in certain places without compacting the soil down too bad. And if I had paths through here, that would be a lot of space. I couldn't grow anything. But here, I can grow things in between the paver stones, and it just gives me more space to grow. But I've got cabbage and broccoli and Brussels sprouts. I know you're all very excited about those, aren't you, kids? Yes, very much. And these are 2 raised beds that I made. These were going to be beehives, but the bees didn't work out, so I've converted them into raised beds. Look, everything is so happy in there. Back here is a blackberry vine, a thornless blackberry vine, so no getting poked. And this is a garden that my kids and I have been working on, and we've had lots of radishes, and we've got carrots growing, and lettuce in here, parsley. And these plants are called Nanking cherries. They're not true cherries, but they do make a cherry-like fruit. Doink right there. If you can see it, there's one. They're kind of small. Now here you may think, Mr. Sexton, it looks like you're growing grass. And that's kind of true. I'm growing oats. You know, like when you eat oatmeal, that's oats. Well, oats are in the grass family. So, yes, technically I am growing grass. I have you could call this part a lawn, I guess. But when they make their seed, when they'll make a stalk with their seeds on it, and the seeds are the oats, that's the oatmeal that you eat. So we may get some of our own oatmeal here. That over there is a sort of a compost or brush pile area where I'm letting some of the bigger chunks of plant material break down. And this, I bet not many of you have seen this plant. This is called a gooseberry plant. Yeah, gooseberry. And I assume geese would eat them. Let's see. Oh, see them little dangling right there? Those are the gooseberries starting to grow, and they're very small now, but they'll get bigger. It's kind of a thorny plant, but you don't see them a lot right here. So this is one of my more fun plants here. And this one has made gooseberries the last couple of years. These ones I've transplanted, well, if you can tell them apart from everything else growing around here, they hadn't made any gooseberries until I transplanted them here, and now they really like this spot, and they're very happy, and they are making gooseberries, all of them. This little guy right here is a Jerusalem artichoke, and if you've been in my music classes, we've talked about these in a lot of them. They're a sunflower. Yeah, they're basically a species of sunflower that comes back every year, and unlike other sunflowers, they grow a tuber, kind of like how a potato is a special root. A potato is a tuber. Well, these grow a tuber kind of like that. It sort of looks like ginger, sort of tastes like a potato, and you can use them the same ways. This is elderberry. Have you ever heard of elderberry syrup or people taking elderberries when they have a flu or a cold? These are the plants. And I get a bunch of elderberries off of these every year, and they're really easy to propagate. The word propagate means to make more of. It's when you get a plant to make more plants. And plants are funny about the different ways you can propagate them. And we'll have to teach you how to propagate your own plants in a later video. But yeah, they're really easy to propagate, and we'll show you how later. This is a compost bin. Oh, I hear an unhappy child. Those are really big prickly pears. You know, you can eat prickly pears, but you gotta get the spines off of them or else that's gonna ruin your day. This is my kids' garden bed, and they have lots of things growing in there. Those things that look like dead trees back there, those aren't really dead, they're figs. And the top branches are probably going to die back every winter, but then they're gonna come back and be fine. This big green thing is a goji berry. Those are very popular right now, a superfood. And then look at all this. This is a free path I made just from junk boards. Isn't that great? And I've put herbs to the sides and sort of a rock path garden back there. And this guy is named Bruce. Hello. And I'm going to take care of this poor crying girl here, but that is a tour of my free garden. I hope you liked having a look around.
It's Game Day, the only show on Subcam that is this show. And today on Game Day, we're going to talk about a free game. That's right, just a game that you do with pencils and paper. You don't have to go and buy anything. And this game is called Sprouts. Sprouts is played with a sheet of paper and some pencils and you and a friend. And you start out by drawing just a certain number of dots on your paper. It doesn't matter how many. It could be as few as 2 or as many as however many you can fit on a sheet of paper. Then you take turns drawing a line that connects 2 dots. Okay, so far so good. So you draw a line. It doesn't have to be a straight line. It can curl and swerve around, but it can't cross any other lines, and you connect it to some other dot. Then, somewhere along that line that you just drew, you draw another dot. Now, the way this game is played is you keep drawing lines from dot to dot and adding a dot until all of the dots are filled up. How does a dot get filled up? Well, when there are 3 lines coming out of a dot, then that dot is filled up and no other lines can connect it. So you keep taking turns going back and forth, drawing lines, adding dots, until nobody else can add another dot, and then the game is over. The last one to play wins. I suggest starting with a very few amount of dots at first until you figure out kind of what's going on and how to play the game before you get those massive million dot type of games going on. So try dots. I think you'll enjoy it. You know what's awesome? Not recycling. Hear me out. Now, recycling, yes, recycling is better than just throwing something in a landfill where it just sits forever and does nothing. It can take, say, paper, for example, and, recycle it into usable paper once again. But recycling uses chemicals, it uses electricity, it uses up resources, and paper, for example, can only be recycled so many times before the little fibers break down too much, and it's just not good for recycling anything anymore. But you know what's even better than recycling paper is composting. You can compost paper and let the natural processes of Earth break it back down into soil. It uses no electricity. It uses no chemicals. It uses no resources. Just, sunlight powering, plants and feeding little bugs and all kinds of things that break it down. And then it turns into soil, and you can use that soil in your garden to grow plants for you to eat. Or to make more paper out of those plants. So, there you go. Don't recycle paper, compost it. Or if you can't compost it, then yes, recycle it. That's going to wrap it up for today, but before we go, let me ask you this question. If you had to stop a gang of vampires, and your only tools were a can opener, a sock, and an unlimited amount of mayonnaise, how would you do it? See you next time.